مسلم فلك الثريا منزلي متألق كالكوكب.
During World War I, there was discussion among the Allies as to what to do about the Middle East when the war was over. It's interesting that when Asquith, the then Prime Minister, announced that Turkey had entered the war and must now be considered an enemy, he did so with great regret. He said, we had hoped to keep Turkey out of this. We had hoped that Turkey would not join the ranks of our enemies, but they did so. And he said, in doing so, they have committed suicide. During the war, there was intensive discussion within the British government, as we now know, the archives that have been opened, what to do. A committee appointed by an interdepartmental committee appointed by the government recommended very strongly that the Ottoman Empire, after its defeat, should be preserved, because any alternative would be disastrous. It would unleash a whole series of troubles in the Middle East. That obviously excellent advice was not followed, and instead there was a carve-up. Britain and France, as the two most important West European allies and as the two great empires of the time, reached an agreement between an Englishman called Sykes and a Frenchman called Bicot for a division of the Arab provinces of the former Ottoman Empire between them. This was the basis, with some modifications, of the post-1918 carve-up of the Fertile Crescent and its division between Britain and France in the form of what were then called mandates. Two mandates to Britain, one of Iraq, the other of Palestine, and one to France of Syria, which later became Syria, Lebanon.
So where the lines are drawn, for example, with Kuwait in the south or Iraq and Iran to the east, are they arbitrary lines, the boundaries? How do they come up with that?
Most of the boundaries of the modern Middle East were drawn by statesmen with pencils on maps. If you look at the boundaries, you will see something which at first sight is very surprising. Most of the boundaries are straight lines. Now, you expect that in North America, where this is a relatively modern society, and where they were operating in unknown and to a large extent uninhabited territory, drawing lines on maps. The map of Europe looks very different, and it reflects more than 1,000 years of bitter struggle to decide where the boundaries are. The map of the Middle East looks rather like the map of North America, and the reason is that it has a similar artificiality in its origins. Most of these states, these entities, are new. This was the carve-up between the imperial powers in the 19th century, culminating in the agreement during and immediately after World War I on how to divide the loot.